But this is something that I've always been kind of curious about
Mm-hmm.
as far as in watching you and your journey and everything that you do. I've always wondered, and I'm sure there are other people out there as well, wondering, how do you set your pricing?
When I started Heart and Soul Personal Chef Service in 2010, what I based my hourly rate on was on this episode, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about pricing. I've got my friend Cynthia here with me today, and we're going to talk about all things pricing.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be actually in person. We haven't seen each other in a while, but we talk. But this is something that I've always been kind of curious about as far as in watching you and your journey and everything that you do. I've always wondered, and I'm sure there are other people out there as well, wondering, how do you set your pricing? It seems to be such a struggle because people want to do personal chef, have a personal chef, but you're afraid of will you be able to maintain it. So how do you set your pricing?
Yeah. That's a great question. It's actually one of the most asked questions that I get on all my socials and comments. How do I price my services? Honestly, it is that question that got me started coaching. Because during COVID, when we were all just on our computers, and I'm in all these chat groups and Clubhouse talking to chefs online who were, largely displaced in the restaurant industry or out here, just, everything was shut down. And I see people in the comments just asking each other, well, how would you price this? How would you price this? And you ask 20 people how you price something, you're going to get 20 different answers. And I was just kind of looking at like, none of you know what you're talking about, right? So that's actually what made me think, wow, I can help these folks, right? Because I had always been running my business with really solid pricing, knowing that I wasn't going to be the cheapest game in town from the beginning. And so to answer the question of how do you price your services, there isn't just like a single answer.
Right.
What I will say is that, at the end of the day, it's just math. At the end of the day, it's just math. The problem is, or where people get confused, is they don't know what numbers to include in those calculations, right? And there's a lot of bogus information out there. You'll hear people say food cost times 3, or, food cost times 4, or, take your food cost, multiply. I mean, just completely random, arbitrary formulas that actually don't mean anything. And another common mistake is looking at what other people are charging to see what you should be charging,
right? Which
Which doesn't make any sense to me, because if I look at a competitor or, people who are doing what I'm doing, and I look at their pricing and say, okay, I want to set my price like their price. Number one, I have no idea if these people are profitable, if they're going bankrupt, if they, what I'm saying, if they're on the brink of disaster, or if they're wild. I have no idea. I don't know what their expenses are. I don't know what it's not apples to apples.
Well, that's interesting though, because that is kind of what you do, is you tend to compare yourself to what's already out there. And is that a part of having to know your own value and what you kind of bring to the table? Does experience play a part in how you price?
I'm going to say something might be a little controversial right now, but does experience play a part in any profession? Of course it does. However, confidence plays more of a part than experience.
Okay, now.
When it comes to setting your pricing.
Okay.
Because if you sit down with me and I am able to say, this is the experience I'm going to be offering you. You're going to get this and this and this and this. We're also going to take care of this and that. And the price for this service is $2,500. And you're going to, it doesn't feel like you can negotiate with me, right? And you see it. It's right here. It's in print. Whereas the other scenario where it's like, well, what do you want? Well, what do you get? Well, okay. Well, I usually charge about all these words that make you uncertain, right? You definitely are opening up the door for negotiation. Oh, you usually charge this? Well, that means in this case, you might could do something different for me, right? So it's the confidence, I feel, that is even more important, and the preparation. Preparation precedes confidence. You're confident when you're prepared. So when you've prepared and you've done the math, and you will present that this is what this experience cost. And anytime we talk about cost, which this is probably going to even more of a discussion, is when you talk about cost, you never really want to talk about cost. You want to talk about the value.
Right. Okay. I get that.
Anytime anyone asks you a question about price, you should respond with the value.
So do you think what makes it so difficult then for people to have those conversations about, because even if they have the confidence, did you face any challenges as far as when you first started in setting your prices, as far as being able to have those conversations? Because some people tend to be so on edge when it comes to talking about money and talking about a price, even if they're, I'm providing you this service, but it's still kind of like, okay, well, here's my bill.
Yep. And I think that's probably pretty pervasive for most small business owners, I think in general, and entrepreneurs, particularly people are starting out, like not just in the personal chef industry, but to actually assign a value to your time, your experiences. It's largely subjective, right? It's what I say it is, and what do I base that on? And I'll be completely transparent, like I always am, is when I started Heart and Soul Personal Chef Service in 2010, what I based my hourly rate on was what I was used to, like what I just walked away from in corporate America, right? So I was like, well, I've been working in corporate America 18 years, and I've worked my way up to a certain salary, and it was a 6-figure salary. So I wanted to, like, my goal is to make 6 figures. So I'm like, okay, well, that's about $40 something an hour, right? If you break it down hourly, my corporate salary. So I thought, okay, you know what? I'm new at this. I'm going to start with my time at $35 an hour. And so that was my rationale. And it was completely just, basically my deductive reasoning. I had no mentorship, no book, no blueprint, but that is just the reasoning that I used.
Does location play a part in pricing? Because I ask that because if I'm in a small town, but I want to do this, or somewhere that's not, let's say it's not the size of Charlotte, small town, Goldsboro, Mount Olive, from where I'm from, would the location dictate what I would charge?
I would say in general, probably, or of course, if it's, if you think New York, LA, you think, well, you could clearly probably charge more because those markets are accustomed to a certain, things just costing a certain amount, or the fact that they're just a larger population of people with wealth, right? Whereas if I'm in the middle of Alabama or the middle, something like that, maybe there aren't, so many wealthy people or so many high-end clients that I could go after. And so that is a factor. So I'll say yes. However, I will also say that almost anyone I've coached, no matter where they live in the country and out of the country, right? No matter what the cost of living is where they live, and no matter what, certainly like they're kind of used to paying in restaurants or those types of scenarios, what I'm having them create is an experience. And I go and I Google, like, where you live again, and I'll pull up that city and state, and I'll go to Zillow and find the neighborhoods with the highest real estate, and I'm like, oh, do you know this neighborhood? Oh yeah, no, that's the golf club, the country club. Oh, you know this neighborhood? I'm looking at just wealthiest neighborhoods in this county or what have you, and I'm like, yeah, that's across town. Yeah, that's where the wealthy people are. So you may not just realize that there are high-end clients near you. So that's what I'm going to do first, And then, if it's a matter of you are 2 hours from a bigger city, an hour and a half over here from this city. Some people in the Midwest, it kind of gets that way. It's like, well, how close are you to Chicago? How close are you to this? And you can make some of that your service area as well. So we have to take location into account in your overall strategy of how you market, where you market. Hey, have you ever wondered what type of personal chef business is actually the best fit for you? Like, should you be doing private dinner parties, meal prepping, or vacation gigs? Look, I got you. I created a free quiz that will tell you exactly which business model makes the most sense for your lifestyle, your strengths, and your goals. And it takes just 2 minutes to complete. At the end, you'll get a personalized roadmap that'll show you how to earn more while working less and the exact steps you need to get started. Don't waste time guessing. Hit the link in the description, take the quiz, and start building the personal chef business that's right for you.
Do you think part of the challenge is for some when they're going from selling plates and transitioning to becoming a personal chef? Is there a challenge in the charge?
There is a challenge in the charge because there's a challenge in the mindset. When you are in you're in a mindset, or you're surrounding yourself with people who have that same mindset, that what you're offering is a commodity. You're offering a thing to them. I'm selling you a plate of food, right?
Right.
In a styrofoam container. There's only so much value I'm going to assign to anything. I don't know what you're going to be able to put in a styrofoam container that I'm going to pay $200 for, right?
Right.
So, and if that's kind of like what you've been doing and that's what you're thinking, the thought of charging like $225 a person seems like crazy, right? But it's not apples to apples to oranges. Like, you really are solving a $15, $20 problem by giving somebody a styrofoam container. But whereas I'm going to someone's home, making them a guest in their home, I'm making them like a superstar to their guests, to their family, their friends, their colleagues, and giving them a seamless experience where they're a guest at our own table, and I'm walking them through 5 courses, and I'm not actually selling food. I'm actually offering an experience, and that's the value that people are paying for. The perceived value is so much higher. It's almost, obviously, I'm a chef. It's always about the food, but it's almost not about the food in that regard. It's about the experience. It's about how you're making people feel. It's about the experience they're walking away from. That's why we just can't even compare those two things. It's not apples to apples. Apples to oranges. It's a completely different commodity-based business when you're selling plates, even a food truck, even a restaurant, even a caterer. You're selling pans of food at the end of the day. You're selling, I'm handing you a hot dog and fries out of a food truck, or whatever the case may be. There's only so much value I'm going to be able to assign to that. And the perceived value of a customer is only going to be so high.
You touched on it a little bit earlier. What specific costs do you feel like personal chefs should include in their pricing that they often overlook in the beginning?
That's a great question. I think they pretty much take into account their time, and they absolutely always take into account grocery costs and food costs. I think personal chefs often overlook there is an actual cost. There's not a huge overhead to personal chefing. That's one of the advantages of being a personal chef. But there are costs of running your business. Your cell phone bill that you use for business calls and take calls, your internet service, certainly like your pantry items, all your spices and oils and vinegars, and the things that you just keep stocked in order to be able to take them and go to someone's house and prepare. And so all of those things are overhead expenses that often are completely overlooked. And the biggest thing, this is literally the biggest thing that chefs overlook, which might be shocking, but they completely forget about profit. They completely forget about profit. They think I am the person, the chef, am getting paid. I covered the food or any other person I had helping me. That's it, right? Like that's all that's considered. But you have to make money as the chef, as an employee of your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, any other staff. Yes, the food cost has to be covered and counted in there. The overhead, the cost of running your business, if you have business, insurance, liability insurance, internet, all those things, even ink for your printer, right? That all has to be counted in there. But then your business entity, your LLC, and that means also you as the owner of the business needs to be paid as well. That's where profit comes in. To build in your profit, 10, 15%, 20%, probably the max. 10 to 20 is really great range for nice profitable business. So if you build in 15% profit up front into your pricing, and now you're not starving your business. Right? That's that's the biggest thing that people actually don't include is profit. You don't account for it.
I hear one of your keywords that you keep saying.
What is that?
Is experience. and not like your experience, but giving an experience.
Yes.
So, and I have personally been to your what do we call them?
Pop-up dinners.
Yeah, pop-up dinners.
Yep.
Which are absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
And
thank you.
I have also been with other personal chefs who have done things, and you do give an experience that is just absolutely out of this world. And so how do you get that across to an up and coming personal chef as to when they're first coming in with the pricing and doing those things? So how does the experience relate to pricing?
Oh, wow. It's everything. Really for the reasons that, I spoke about with changing the mindset of this being a commodity based. We are not selling food. It's one of the biggest things I say. I do not sell food, right? And it's like almost a shocking statement. Like, what do you mean? Like it's
right.
What do you mean I sell food? I don't. I'm offering experiences. So I lead with that so much. I think anybody who follows me, anybody that certainly in my courses, my community, my classes, my coaching, my clients, they all, they get it drilled into them. These are experiences. We're almost not even allowed to say, like, it's almost like a swear word. We don't say meals, and we don't say dinners. We don't say buffets. Like, we don't say the C word. That's catering. Like, we don't say those words because we've elevated our thinking. We've elevated our processes because I want them to start with knowing that you are not selling food. You are offering an experience. You're solving people's problems, which, of course, any business that's in business is solving some type of problem. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of, are you solving $10 problems? Are you solving $4,000 problems?
Right.
I prefer to solve $4,000 problems.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And you do that by stacking the value. You can't, how much value could I potentially stack into a styrofoam container? I'll put some truffles on there. I'll put some lobster. I can fit some lobster in there.
Yeah.
The perceived value is never going to be higher than that styrofoam container it's in. But, when you're sitting at your table and the chair's pulled out for you and you've got this beautiful tablescape and you're getting, plates that are beautifully plated sat in front of you with a professional serving staff and this amazing personality of a chef that is explaining like what this dish means to them. This is an authentic thing, and this is where this came from. So now I'm connecting you to this dish, not only visually. You're seeing how beautifully it's plated. You're smelling it when you walk in the door. Where I'm like, oh, it smells so good in here. I'm like, already, I'm just, toasting some bread. I just put my crostinis in the oven. But the clients, guests will walk in and they're like, it smells so good in here already. But their senses are already being, activated. Their sense of smell, their vision, of course, their taste will be activated. The textures in their mouth are going to activate the sense of touch. But what I'm doing in the experience is I'm also connecting them emotionally to the food. And that's something that, what kind of price tag do you put when I walk away from a dinner party experience? And I walk away and I feel changed somehow.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just taken a little doggy bag of joy home with me. And I don't even know what just happened.
Yeah.
We just went to a dinner. Why do I feel like I just experienced a hug. I felt accepted. I felt loved. I felt honored. I felt cared for. What is that worth?
What I will say is with you explaining all of that is that one thing about it, when you walk away from one of your dinners is you have a different appreciation for food. You really do, because it's something different. And it could be, this is a steak you've had 1,000 times. But there's something about the experience, the preparation, and the presentation that would change your relationship with food and how you accept how it is presented to you from that moment forward. And that is what you're saying as far as the value that's put on it. And because at first you do get sticker shock and you're like, man, what? That's, hey, you know what I could do with that right there? But you get your friends together, whoever it is, or your boo or whoever, and you go and you experience this, and it's like it is. Hey, we got to do this again.
Yeah.
Say, you realize you're ordering from the lobster side of the
Every side of my menu, the lobster side of the menu. Right.
You know what that means. So
every side of the menu.
Yeah. But I don't want to get away from the subject in itself, so the context. So I have some questions that, because I'm sure that there are going to be some personal chefs who are beginners who are going to be looking at this, and looking for specific answers to some questions, and I want them to be able to tap into all the knowledge that you have and the experience that you have for doing this for.
All right, hit me.
As I say, I was there for the Sunday dinners from the original. We would stop in the car with our feet type stuff. So yeah. Let's see where I want to go with this. How do you approach the conversation about pricing with potential clients, especially when they experience sticker shock?
So, again, always leading with the value. So if I start with, well, this is how much it costs, right? This is how much this costs. You have no frame of reference. You have no context. And so you can only go by that amount. You're going to give someone sticker shock, right? But if I lead in with the value you're receiving, even if it's a direct question. So if you say to me, well, what's the price? Of course, there's an answer to that question, right? There is a numerical value that is the answer to that question. It is $275 a person. That's the answer. But I'm not going to just give that answer. I'm going to say, that's a great question. Let me tell you what you receive. You have a chef and a server that's coming to your home to serve your guests. We're going to decant and pour your wines. We're going to set a beautiful tablescape for you. We're going to clean and sanitize your kitchen. And then we're going to start delivering your courses. We're hand preparing the food. The chef is going to announce each dish. We have a curated playlist. We have suggested wine pairings. Maybe there are conversation cards on the table. Whatever the little special touches that any particular chef is going to do, I train them to add these value adds on. But I'm going to explain that to you. We'll take care of everything. You never have to get out of your seat. We want you to be present with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We want you to be, we're going to make you look like a superstar. And the 5-course menu, of course, with drink pairings, and that is going to be $275 a person. Right? So I've led with the value first. I've made you an irresistible offer first, then give you the price, right? Hey, if you're on this journey to turn your passion for cooking into a real business, you don't have to do it alone. You need to join the Chefanista Collective. This is the place where you get the support that you need to accomplish the dream that you have. There are live masterclasses that take place, tons of resources in there, but the most important thing is you get to meet other chefs on the same journey, and we're in there celebrating our wins. All that's missing is you. This is your community, this is your tribe, and it's your time. So I'm offering you a 14-day free trial so you can hop in and see for yourself, because this is something that really can't be explained. It has to be experienced. This is the way you get this done faster, stronger, and better, because we do it together. So click the link in the description below to join the Chefanista Collective completely risk-free.
So with that being said, how important is it to be able to communicate with your clients as a personal chef?
Super important. When I first started coaching people, I gave them the nuts and bolts of the business with, what are your services going to be? What's going to be who's your ideal client? What's your mission and vision statement? Menus, pricing, business systems, processes, and, and your website, online presence. Boom, you're in business. Go be fruitful and make lots of money, right? And I realized the thing that people were missing is the confidence to actually speak about their business.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to, when in any business, Toastmaster, you learn how to do your elevator pitch,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You learn how to do your elevator pitch. Even when I was a kid in junior achievement, we would learn how to do like our quick elevator pitch. But it's really so important that you are able to, in an opportunity, when you're faced with a potential customer, you're able to nail that message.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's the preparedness, which leads to the confidence that allows you then to have that conversation. So I call it charismatic, confident conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the crash courses that I teach within my community and within my coaching program. So it's like the infinity stone. It's like the last piece you need to be great is the ability to speak about your services, so that when someone asks you a question, whether it's about price or what do I need to have set up in my home, or how long is the experience going to last? What do you need from me? What is it going to look like? Tell me about your process. All of those questions you need to be able to answer. But certainly, if you have free reign to talk about your business, for example, it could be as simple as a run-in at Starbucks. Somebody taps you on the shoulder like, "Oh, so you've got a chef coat on. Tell me what you do." In that scenario, are you going to ramble? People tend to either kind of freeze up and, I'm a chef and I'm, CEO of blah, 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 personal chef service. And, we cook for, they freeze up and start to stumble, or they ramble on and on and on and on. Well, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do catering, and I can do this, and I can do birthday parties. I also make soaps, and I do some t-shirts, and I barber on the side. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to dilute our messaging.
So in that moment, it's not the time to tell your story, but it's the time to, like you said, give your elevator speech about your business.
It's nailing your message.
Gotcha.
The message, which starts with the mission of your why are you in business? And what is it who is it that you're serving, and what is it you do for them? What is the problem that you're solving? If I am in Starbucks and I see, a woman with 3 kids hanging off of her and she's like a busy mom, I may lead in with my meal prep service. But we help get busy moms like you out of the Chick-fil-A drive-thru and back around the table with your dinner, back around the dinner table with your family. Boom. That's it. Like that quick. Like I know I'm going to go that direction. I know what my message is in regards to meal prep. I know my message is I'm going to get busy families back around the dinner table and help busy parents reclaim their time. Like that's my speaking points. I just know that. I know that about my business. Any of my staff knows that about our business. If it's about a celebration or a dinner party, I know the value I'm offering is we're going to make you a guest in your own home. We're going to help you celebrate life's most precious moments. See, I'm talking about things that have really no limit to the value.
Right.
Wow, you're going to make me feel a certain way. You're going to help me uplift and celebrate my wife on her special day. Or, what is that worth to this person?
Yeah.
Whatever I say it is.
True.
I mean, and of course, again, we do the math. We do the spreadsheets. We do the math. We take into account the cost, the overhead, the amount per hour for time of you, your staff, the percent profit. And we have the numbers that spit out the math that says this is the minimum profitable price that you have to charge for this event, right? But we just don't stop there. And that's where I think my system is different, in that it's not just about those numbers, because we have the ability as personal chefs to continue to stack value on top of it. Does it cost me anything extra to give you a QR code that pulls up a few playlists? No. Right. But does it increase the perceived value in your mind of me as a chef?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So things like that. So we don't stop at just the numbers. We build on to the experience, and then And honestly, then it's just honestly subjective. Again, it is what you say. If if you have a $300 a person thing, and you have to have a menu that lives up to that, and you got to have a process that lives up to that. You got to have systems that live up to that, and you need to deliver an 11-star experience that meets that mark, that delivers on that promise. So that even when you've described this amazing experience, you still want to blow their minds. So you have to deliver on it. And that's part again of me building up these largely women personal chefs, is not only all the business side of it, which I used to only focus on, but now it's even plating and the presentation and how we speak about it, how we do things table side. It's really the whole thing, and all of that absolutely affects the price.
Okay. Well, should chefs charge differently for regular weekly clients versus one-time special events? And if so, what's your approach?
My approach is always going to be about the numbers plus value, right? So meal prep, which is, I guess, that first scenario you're talking about, weekly clients. Those are typically meal prep. That's like the historical thing personal chefs are known for. And it is the meal prep specifically, you are still largely in that space of you are solving a problem, yes. But you are still in a place where you're competing with DoorDash and, all the delivery services, and even your grocery stores have prepared meals. You're competing with people have lots of options for weeknight meals, right? And so you do have to then compete a little bit on price in regards to that, because you are, at the end of the day, offering containers of food, to my original point, right? Like you are, at the end of the day, I'm going to have containers of food in my refrigerator. So in building pricing for meal prep, it is about the numbers and any other extra things that you can build into your service that's going to make it more valuable to that family. So it's always going to be that formula for me, the numbers plus how do I stack any extra thing on top of it. So it's not a matter of comparing the weekly client to the one-time client, right? It's just that they are really two different personas. They're two different avatars. They're two different ideal clients. This person has a different need than this person. The weekly client this is their food budget. It is a recurring service that they have to build into their budget on an ongoing basis, right? So that has to be taken into account. Their needs are different. They need to hear things different. They want to hear healthy, nutritious, and balanced, and they want to hear about the budget because that matters. When someone's celebrating their 50th birthday, they might have a budget, but they want the experience. It's about the experience. It is a one-time thing. I'm going to ball out and go all out for this thing. So just by virtue of what it is, it does impact the pricing. I just wouldn't say it's just based on the fact that this is weekly and this is one time. It's just when we get down to the core of it, this is a different ideal customer with different needs and different things they need to hear than this client over here who is the dinner party entertaining client.
Okay. So are there any premium services or upsells that personal chefs should consider offering to increase their revenue?
The queen of this. Let's see. It's the whole basis of the experience model is I challenge my clients, my coaching clients, my students, my mentees, to continue to add value. So premium services. Let's go with the meal prep client, for example, because that's a difficult one to see how you can add value to it, right? But if you think about everything you're doing for the client, I'm going shopping, I'm coming into your home, I'm preparing your meals for the week, packaging them up, and putting them away, right? So what else can I add on that to add value to it? Well, you know what? What are you all doing for lunches? Are you eating out for lunch? Do you need, I can pack up, I'm here anyway, I can do soup, salads, and sandwiches and add that on, make your life easier, put you on autopilot. Oh, I can, I can actually make ready to go smoothies. All you gotta do is dump them in the Ninja in the morning and go for smoothies. Like I can actually make their life easier. I'm offering more of a solution to them to upsell. And then also things like the value added stuff is, hey, I'm going to the grocery store anyway. Today's your cook date. I'm going to the grocery store. I'll be at your house at 10 for our cook date. Do you need anything from the grocery store? Do you need some toilet paper? Do you need some Tide? You know what I mean? Again, I'm going to the grocery store anyway. I can pick up these things, but that's making me invaluable. I'm adding so much value to myself and my relationship with that customer. With dinner parties, the upsells are easy. Add on wine, flowers, champagne, cocktails, playlists. There's so many things. Anything you can dream up. This is where a chef's creativity comes into play. You are watching this because you know there has to be more. You're tired of cooking your heart out without seeing it in your bank account. Maybe you're thinking you need a culinary degree or that you'll have to work 80-hour weeks in a restaurant first. I'm here to tell you that that's simply not true. I was just like you, stuck in a corporate job at 40 years old, dreaming of turning my passion for cooking into something more. Now I run a $500,000 a year personal chef business, and I've been featured in Forbes magazine and Ebony and even on the Food Network. But here's what really matters most. I've helped hundreds of other passionate cooks just like you do the same thing. No culinary degree required, no crazy hours, just a proven system that works. That's why I created the 5-step personal chef kickstart strategy. This guide breaks down exactly how to build a business that gives you freedom, create experiences clients can't resist, craft an irresistible online presence, land your first high-paying clients, and start making money doing what you love. No fluff, no theory, just the exact steps I used to build my business and that my students are using right now to build theirs. Click the link in the description below to get the 5-step personal chef kickstart strategy. Do not let another day go by wondering what if. Your future as a successful personal chef starts right now.
Okay. So how do you determine when it's time to raise your rates with existing clients? And what's the best way to communicate this change?
Okay, that's a great question. So typically when it's time to raise prices, either you are experiencing a place where you actually are giving yourself a raise, right? For cost of living increase, right? Or the grocery cost is increasing, which is, happening quite a bit lately, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're experiencing that, they are experiencing it, they know the state of the economy, etc. And so if there's a point in time that you need to raise prices on an existing customer, which I'm, again, making the assumption we're talking about meal prep as the only real, repeat customer that would be like, oh my gosh, you're raising the rates on us. But I find it's always a great time to do that at the beginning of the year. January, new year, new me, new year, new prices, and communicate those changes, give people time, give them 60 days, give them a couple of months to know that starting, March 1st, or, if it is the beginning of the year, March 1st, the weekly weights will be raising by this amount. And you can offer some explanation, but really people know that cost of living, if they've been getting the same service from you for 3 years, $350 a week, they know that things, increase in price, even if it's just cost of living with inflation. So I think the important things are, doing the math so you know that you're still charging fairly. You've got you've come up with the right new price, and then to communicate that early to your clients.
So what role does food cost percentage play in your pricing strategy? And how do you handle clients with expensive tastes but limited budgets?
Well, people with expensive tastes and limited budgets are not my ideal client.
Okay.
And I have to be okay knowing that they're not my ideal client and be able to say no to someone that's not my ideal client. It doesn't serve me to cheapen my brand for someone, right? My brand, I've built it intentionally. I built my menu intentionally to tell a story, and everything about my business was done intentionally. So because I'm not making these prices up on the spot, because when you go to our website, you see our menu, our current menu, you see our prices, you see the experiences. Someone who is outside of that budget won't call. So the website and the information displayed on the website is built 1,000% to attract your ideal client. But it also is intended to repel the client that's not your ideal client.
Oh, interesting. So you also have to have the ability and the willingness to walk away when someone's trying to, talk you down or saying.
I just really have found I've been doing this 15 years, right? And I have found when you have published your offer, your prices, your menu, you've given you've given them the total picture of your service, what you offer, price, the menu on your website. It's like me going to Target. Now, granted, I got a sister that will do this. Go to Target. The sticker is right there on the. You're not gonna go up to the cash register like, this says $9.99, but is there anything you can do for me? You're not gonna do that. You know what I mean? But if it was a thrift store or a flea market where there are no prices, now we are in a haggling situation, right? So if you are in business as a personal chef, as a cook, or you're still hustling, selling plates, what have you, if that's you, and you don't have a set price list, a set of prices, a set menu, then you are leaving yourself open to negotiation.
Okay. All right. And so what was your biggest pricing mistake when you started, and how did you correct it to become profitable?
That is a great question. I priced really well from the beginning, I have to say. I priced really well from the beginning. And, honestly, it was a pastor I heard say one time, because we are children of God, if you, whatever price you think you are, triple it and charge that. Right?
So really then the key is to start to have a good price from the start.
It really is. It really is. Have I made pricing mistakes? Sure. Have I? I would say the bigger mistake or the larger mistake is taking jobs I shouldn't have taken, right? More so than it being a pricing mistake. Because I really have. If I'm just being honest. I've really always. I went by that thought that I worth more, deserve more from the beginning, because I am going to decide to be the best at this, right? I'm just making a decision. I'm gonna over deliver every time. So that was part of that decision to be the highest price. But also, if you think about it from a just logically, if you're not the cheapest service in town, what strategic advantage would you have in being the second cheapest? None, right?
Right.
So you might as well be the best and the most expensive, because there's a whole class of people, a demographic of people, or a subset of people whose personality, like I'm one of them, they automatically go to the top rung, to the highest thing. Like, well, I deserve the best. I'm going to go to the highest price thing. This person must be the best because they are the highest priced. If this car is $150,000, it must be better than this car that's $60,000. It's just, it creates that. Now you gotta deliver on that promise, but just sometimes you price yourself too low, and it will give the impression to the right client that you are the wrong chef. This can't be a good chef because these prices are too low. I always give this example of the $15 helicopter ride at Myrtle Beach. It's like, I'm looking around like, where's the $300 helicopter ride? I don't want a $15 helicopter ride. Is this thing being maintained? Is this man really a pilot? You know what I mean? So sometimes, people will disregard a service because it's too cheap, and something don't seem right about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I am the best. I am an executive. I am whatever. We deserve the best. We've been around the world. We've eaten in the best restaurants, best hotels, best country clubs, yachts, whatever. Right? And so, I look at my options for this service that I want to engage, a personal chef, and I'm looking at I'm going to probably immediately train myself to go go straight to the highest and see what they're offering, and then go down. You know how when you could do a sort, when you look up something, you go to Airbnb or something, you sort by, most of us sort by lowest to highest.
Right.
So it might be hard to believe there are people who put the search highest to lowest.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see what that, because it's a perceived that that's going to be the best.
Yeah.
It's psychology. Pricing is largely, and selling in general, I guess, you know, marketing and offering something, which price is just a part of that. It's your part of your offer. There is psychology involved. I mean, there's psychological things that you can use to your advantage just in regards to marketing. And with pricing, that's true as well. So just an example I gave, it's the perception. So psychologically, someone's going to think you're better because your price is higher.
Well, with everything that we've talked about today in this episode, is there anything that you feel like you want to say out there to the up and coming chefs or those that are already in the game but are looking to elevate themselves when it comes to pricing and value and experience? You know, just I guess a summary of what we've spoken about.
I mean, if I have to boil it down into like one big piece of advice, I would say, and a starting point, this might be the same advice I would give no matter what the subject was today, to be honest, right? Is that you have to do the work. You know, don't say what Chef Lisa said, I can just charge $500 per
Right.
Don't say that. You know what I mean? You got to do the work. Prepare yourself. Be like, I am the best because I intend to be the best. I decided to be the best. And every time I walk out that door, I intend to give my clients an 11-star experience. Right? And so I've done the work. I've prepared myself. I'm curious about food. I look up things. I'm constantly like, I'm a student of food. I'm a student of cooking. I'm a student of, you know, just constantly seeking knowledge, going to restaurants to be inspired, following chefs that inspire me. I don't look outside of myself to compare myself to other people. I look outside of myself to be inspired and to learn. And so if you are a student of food, you are naturally curious. You know, if you say, well, you know, I don't know how to plate like that. Well, learn.
Right.
Do the work.
Right.
Do the work.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't just go out here and just like, you know, the price is the price. I'm going to charge my worth. Just make sure you are worth the price.
Right.
And on that.
That's absolutely. Yeah.
I think we can wrap this up on that. Make sure you're worth the price.
Where can we find information about your programs, about your company, and those things? How can those that are searching, how can they get in touch? How can they find you?
Got it. Well, I am at Chef Lisa Brooks on everything. First of all the socials. So at Chef Lisa Brooks on Instagram and cheflisabrooks.com. You can find all things Lisa Brooks. So if it is someone who's interested in coaching or classes or downloads, my book, I mean, anything Chef Lisa Brooks is at cheflisabrooks.com or at Chef Lisa Brooks on Instagram.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. It was good to get a little deeper into what you've been doing all these years.
I know. It's like a mad scientist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, you really do know what you're talking about, don't you? Yeah. Sometimes I look at myself like, damn, I really do know what I'm talking about. No,
hey, you're the smartest person I know. That's an inside joke.
You need a t-shirt that says, with the arrow pointing like, she's the smartest person.
Right.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you want any information about me or my services, just be sure to check the description below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.